We are.
All right, who are we?
I know who I am. I ain't sure who
I
you
do
are.
too. You folks know who you are.
And
The
we
problem is you don't know who we are. And
probably don't care.
this is Wild Bob, and this is Ronnie, and we're tickled to death to be with you here on July 23rd, 2013, coming to you from LaFollette, Tennessee, US of A, and we hope all you folks over there in Algeria and Libya and
Great Britain.
Yeah, Great Britain.
Congratulations on your new king.
Yeah, said that right. He's third in line. He'll have to bump off 2 or 3 before he can get up there.
Yeah, we need to get real involved with that and forget all this terrible stuff's going on around us.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. There's nothing bad going on around us.
I worried about Trayvon Martin so long instead of worrying about Benghazi and the IRS scandals and the NSA scandals and the Fast and Furious scandals and the relentless turn from capitalism to socialism that, I'm so busy worrying about Trayvon Martin.
I know it. I done forgot about the fact that all those things that we have introduced into our political spectrum here in the last 4 or 5 years has been tried for decades up in Detroit, Michigan.
You know, there was a guy credited me for helping to keep us from getting radar cameras and, traffic light cameras in LaFollette. And I said, no, that's Bob Andrews. He's the one done that. He led the charge, and I just kind of carried the flag, tagging along behind. And I got to thinking, we've accomplished a whole lot being fools.
Yeah, we have.
We beat that back. We got rid of the dog tax and offered a solution to the problems they're having now, and they laughed at us.
Yeah.
We got a new highway up Hunter's Branch.
Right.
We got...
don't forget the community center up there.
We got the Wild Bob and Ronnie Community Center.
That would be rubble now.
And whether it's worth anything or not, we held off building codes for a little while, and knock on wood, they're afraid to bring up zoning, and we've got something to do with that. What else did we do? We done something else pretty remarkable, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't know. I never had really thought of that. Everything we just gone over is true, because to me, that was just part of being sensible.
Well, there ain't a lot of that going around, especially down in Jacksboro and up City Hall. It's sensible. If you look at it in the right direction, it's sensible for the people that's profiting by it, but it ain't sensible for the taxpayers that's paying the bills.
That's true, very true. I didn't get involved in any of that for any other reason other than I felt like it was wrong what our government was trying to do to us. I've been over this camera deal, which somebody just recently brought up. Said that we kept the city from getting it. We kept the city from doing it to us again, is what we did. Cameras are nothing but pea grabbing. That's all it is.
Well, I think if we hadn't been spouting off and running our mouths and getting our tails in cracks, there'd have been a whole lot more went on that we didn't even foresee. They didn't have the nerve to bring up. I'd like to think we cleaned up. We traded one bunch of crooks for another bunch too.
I think we did, yeah, and that's the way it goes. Really, you usually get in government about what you send.
Yeah.
And this is true of city government. Detroit got exactly what it asked for. What was his name? Coleman Young.
Yeah.
Coleman Young was the mayor there for 20 years. He had a deep hatred of all white people, and he was determined to turn Detroit City into a little black nation.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm glad that Detroit bit the dust And I hope we don't bail them out. And I can't wait till the federal government does the same thing so we can start over and do it right again.
Right. But you take the people in Detroit City who counted, who mattered, who were productive, who had something. Rather than going to the ballot box, they started voting with their feet.
Yep.
And they moved out of that place.
Yep.
And they left Detroit with exactly the ones that were tearing it down.
Well, you can leave Detroit and you can leave Chicago, you can even leave in California, but it's hard to leave your mother country, and even if you do, it's hard to find somewhere that's better than this place used to be.
Yeah. So
we're going to have to start somewhere to fix the country, because, I mean, I don't know that Mexico don't look better than the United States, really.
I'm just completely, it's just a completely foreign operation to me. They're very core thinking. A lot of times it's completely and it's diametrically opposite of what I think. It's hard to explain unless, back in the 50s, we used to think it was so terrible that the people in Russia, before they could travel from one part of the city to the other, or from one city to another, or one province to the other, had to have all their paperwork in order. If they didn't get to go, or else they got arrested. It's the same thing here in this country when you leave exit 134 and come up through Caryville, come to Jacksboro and La Follette, and you have to wait through all of that governmental law authority that you're subject to get stopped coming out of Caryville by the Caryville police. You're subject to getting stopped by the Campbell County Sheriff Department coming out of Caryville. You're subject to be stopped by TWRA coming out of Caryville. You're subject to be stopped by Jacksboro Police or Campbell County Sheriff's Department again, or the TWRA or the Highway Patrol. I told you, I believe I mentioned on one of the programs where one of our city councilmen called down and complained to the Highway Patrol because they had a patrolman that was clocking speed and checking people up and down Tennessee Avenue. And they said, he's sitting up there and he's less than a half a mile from the police department and he's cutting down on our revenue.
Yeah.
Now, I see their logic, but it is foreign logic to me, because law enforcement should never be about how much money you collect.
It's supposed to be about prevention rather than detention.
Right. Well, it should never be about how much money you collect. Now,
well, it's all free money.
Yeah, well, that's what.
Ain't that a quote?
Well, no, it's all pure profit.
Yeah.
That's what Cliff said. It's all pure profit, what you collect off the people and well fines and that sort of thing. I don't look on it as being a profitable situation. First of all, government's not supposed to make profit on anything.
What about solar panels?
Well, they can't take any money for that. It has to be used as a credit.
Oh, okay.
Well,
we're going to have so much credit built up, we'll own TVA some of these days.
I expect really that they probably will make William Baird, president or CEO of TVA.
We'll own so much stock in the company they'll have to.
But I don't know. We've got the largest shoreline on North Lake, and we have 2 representatives on the North Lake Advisory Board, and Knoxville's got 6.
Well, how much shoreline's Knoxville got?
None.
None? I know that.
Huh?
I know that.
I know you do. But that's a point well worth making, that Knoxville.
Well, I'll tell you what they done at one time. Whenever they first TVA stocked some deer out on the TVA property back in the 40s. And they got a few deer, and then they decided to start having a hunting season. And it was like a 2-day thing, you know. And you had to get your name drawn, and nobody.
It's like Royal Blue up here.
Yeah, nobody around here got to participate. The farmers that were having their crops invaded,
yeah.
They didn't get to participate.
And they couldn't shoot one.
No, they weren't allowed to shoot one. And it was serious if they caught you. And so they drew names, and they brought people in from out of town and out of state to hunt deer.
Right.
Well, what happened, there were some farmers, and my daddy is one of them, who decided that since they weren't allowed to hunt legal, they'd make sure they got their part some way.
Right.
And the local farmers, with any ambition at all, kept the deer stock pretty well in hand.
Yeah.
And finally, TWRA, it wasn't called TWRA back then, it was a TVA management thing. They finally realized what was going on and wised up and said, well, you know, this is not working. We're going to have to involve the local population and let them have some reward from this too. So it worked out a lot better. Now you can't cross the road without running into a deer.
Yeah, but you know, what tickled me, you know, when I stayed out dimmer right much, every once in a while at night you hear the crack of a rifle.
Yeah.
And you know what happened, somebody just harvest them a deer.
But the point is, whenever they left the local people out of it, it didn't work out. You're going to have to involve the local people in any program that you've got if you want any. You're going to have cooperation from the people that are there involved, or it ain't going to work.
Well, it never has. No. And if you don't know, the same thing's true of other government programs, whether it's hunting or anything. You take Obamacare. If you don't have the willing participation of the people who see the big picture, even though I don't think there is a big picture to be seen here, but people who honestly believe in the program, it's not going to be successful. And you can see what's happening to Obamacare. He intentionally put off the corporate mandates where businesses had to provide insurance for any business that had over 50 employees, full-time employees, had to provide insurance for them or pay a hefty premium, a penalty. He knocked that off. And then the House of Representatives has since voted to do away with the individual mandates.
There is a Tea Party senator, and I don't remember his name, that has come up with a fantastic strategy. He is saying, look, Obama's out there taking care of his corporate buddies so they don't have to participate, but he's leaving these here poor little individuals still holding the bag.
Right.
That's turning around the usual situation.
Right. Usually blame the Republicans for that sort of thing.
And John McCain.
Huh?
John McCain. Why is he registered as a Republican?
I don't know. He's more of a Democrat. Well, he couldn't out-Democrat the Democrat.
Okay? He's trying his best.
He tried to.
You know, that's the one vote I regret the most. I voted for Jimmy Carter's first term.
Yeah.
And I'm a whole lot more proud of that than I am John McCain. Of course, I was trying to keep down what we got now, but that don't make no difference. What we'd have got then would have been worse.
I think so. I think we've been worse off with John McCain. I'm serious, than we were with Obama.
That man, I don't understand him. And it should have taught me something. Teddy Roosevelt was his his hero, his favorite president of all time. Well, Teddy Roosevelt sold out to people, and then Woodrow Wilson Woodrow Wilson come out and finished the job.
Right. Yeah, Woodrow, bless his heart, if he had remained sane the whole time, he would have done some damage.
Yeah, if he hadn't had that stroke and the old lady took over, we'd been in a whole lot worse. Well, I don't know. The only, like I say, the only good thing that can happen to this country is when we go the way of Detroit and start over.
I think that's probably true, you know, and it's such a shame that we have taken such a beautiful concept, such a wonderful organizational effort for government, and completely subverted it and destroyed it and changed it completely from what it originally set out to be. And you know, there are no checks and balances if you have one department of the government that pays absolutely no attention to them and just goes ahead and does what it wants to do. And if Obama can't get something done by passing an act through Congress, then he'll do it through one of his agencies, such as the
EPA, the IRS,
right.
The NSA.
Did you see today where one day before the orders went out to target the Tea Party that the head of the IRS met with Obama?
No. I didn't know that. I know they got that there.
A timeline on that thing.
They got that guy that was.
Hall.
Yeah, they got him right there in the mix right before it happened. I didn't know they got Obama.
Yeah.
Well, that ain't going.
I don't know exactly who they met with in the White House, but he went into the executive department.
They're not going to. Back under Richard Nixon, who was, my opinion, justifiably chased out of office, he had people after him in the news media that was against him and out to get him. That's why they pushed it to a reasonable and a justified conclusion. Right now, we've got a bunch of water boys that are working for him, and they're not going to go out there and try to push this thing to where it should reasonably go. He's going to come out smelling like a rose. He's going to end up okay. They ain't going to do nothing.
Well, see, here's one thing. Here's the problem. Of all this corruption that has gone on within his administration, Benghazi, the IRS scandal, the prosecution of the correspondence, the seizing of telephone records, the spying on the American public,
the fast and furious gun running
scheme.
Fast and
furious gun running. Obama is out there telling everybody that he is fighting against all that stuff, that it's got nothing to do with him, that he's out there fighting these people every day to keep them from doing this sort of thing. And it's his policies.
Well, he is the most racially divisive president since Abraham Lincoln. And he, there's no reason for it except that when these things start biting at his heels, he gets out and stirs up some trouble. Now this thing, you've not heard anything about the IRS scandal. It's on the back page. You've not heard anything about Fast and Furious. It's plumb forgotten. Benghazi is a thing of the past. If you'll remember, back last Friday, Obama came out and gave a very one-sided and divisive speech, and there was no reconciliation whatsoever in his words. He come out to stir the pot, to make sure that we talked about that. Then you had Holder doing the same thing, because he don't want you to talk about Fast and Furious or any of his other shenanigans. They go out there and keep these things on the front burner so that nobody will pay any attention to what they really should be looking at. And now we've got the new King of England born, and these fools on the television will talk about that till we're just plumb wore out, and it don't make one bit of difference to you or me. And I thought we fought a revolution so we didn't have to worry about who the King of England was. This kid will never be the King of England.
Huh?
This kid will never be the King of England. You still got old, what's his name?
Charles.
Oh, Charles. Charles with the big ears, he ain't gonna die yet.
Right.
If his mother ever kicks the bucket, he'll be the king for a while.
Right.
And then you've got Edward, is that his name? Whoever. William's coming along next. And that there little boy, whatever they're gonna name him, he ain't got much of a chance of being king. And if he does, it won't be in my lifetime. And I don't give a shit what he does.
Probably won't even be in this century.
Nope. That's right.
Possibly.
Probably not. More than likely.
But you know, it keeps us from talking about what we really need to talk about, and what we really need, problems we really need to solve. And it's just like the black people zeroing in on Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman. That's got nothing practically to do with the problems that black people are having in this country.
No.
Practically nothing. The amount of white on black crimes is practically infinitesimal. I mean, you can't. It don't even show up on the radar, the amount of white crimes against black people. Now, I don't know whether you watched Bill O'Reilly last night or not.
No.
Look, O'Reilly was really on his game good.
I saw some of his talking points.
What?
I saw some of his talking points, and he done a pretty good job. O'Reilly, he's not one of my favorite people, but he gets one right every now and then, like the blind squirrel hunting a nut.
Yeah, I know that. But he brought out some important points. Why do people profile black people? And the reason is quite simple. So many crimes are perpetrated by black people, not by white people. There's enough of them perpetrated by white people.
Well, overall, there are more crime by white people, but percentage-wise, based on population, there's an overwhelming majority of petty crime and stuff like that, and assaults and murders committed by blacks. So, percentage-wise, based on population,
well, black people make up what, 40% of the population?
Somewhere in that area, I think.
But they represent 70% of the prison population. Okay.
70-something% of the black children are born out of wedlock.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care what your moral standing and attitude is. A mommy and a daddy goes a long way toward teaching a kid the right way to go.
Well, the point that, what's his name, whatever his
O'Reilly.
name was.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly made last night, that the Democratic machine and the Democratic Party had destroyed the black family. Big Daddy government had replaced the father. All the black girl, or well, white girl too, either one, but since we're talking about black people, black girl gets pregnant. The government immediately gives her money. Okay, she don't have to have a husband. They provide housing for her. And then they take over and try to give her education, that sort of thing, to get her merged into society, which that don't work because the lure of that government check and the opportunity to remain poor the rest of their life is greater than the desire to become prosperous. And they have replaced the black male. He has no, if he can't play basketball or sing, what good is he?
You know, I had a conversation yesterday with a guy, and he's talking about this man we both know, and back when this guy was about 19 years old, he went to work for the railroad. And he hadn't worked but a couple of months, and he fell and broke his back and has been partially paralyzed ever since. And he walks with double crutches,
Right.
yeah, walking sticks, whatever you call them. And he used his opportunity to go to college and get an education, and then he got a job and he worked, and he's retired now. And he was talking about that guy. He said he's wondering, why he went to all that effort when he already had it made. I mean, he had a check from the railroad and Social Security, or they don't get Social Security, but they get a benefit. And wondered why that guy went to all the trouble of going to college when he didn't have to. And I said, well, you're looking at it a different way than he did. When he got hurt and they said, we're going to give you this check for the rest of your life, and told him how much it was, he didn't see that as a guarantee. He saw it as a limit. So they said, look, we're going to give you $1,200 a month for the rest of your life. What he saw was, I'm only going to get $1,200 a month for the rest of my life. I'm going to take what I can get and educate myself, and I'm going to make more than that. And he did. He didn't have to. I mean, it would have increased as he went along. He could have survived the rest of his life on whatever benefits he got from getting hurt when he was 19 years old. But he went ahead and made a career, and I'm going to say he's probably 55, between 55 and 60 years old now. I'm going to say about 57, 58. He probably retired when he was 55. And he did get a government job. He worked in the welfare department, some situation like that. But he didn't just go get a gimme job. He went off and got an education and got a degree. I believe the only one in his family that did that, although the other part of the family had been prosperous and worked hard, and they didn't, nobody gave them a living either, but he went off and got him a college education, got him a good job, and provided for himself. He did it because he saw those benefits as a limit rather than a guarantee, and that's the problem. When you see that as a guarantee, you're going to have to realize that's also a limit, but few people ever think of it that way.
Well, that's very, very true, and I've told I don't know how many people here in this area who draw checks, and one in particular, that I'm not going to call their name, that draws $700 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I said, do you realize when you wake up on the first of the month that you are $700 better off than all those people that's not drawing checks? But yet, I said, the people who are not drawing checks at the end, toward the end of the month, they still got some money. I said, and you are dead broke, having to sell your food stamps and everything else that you can get your hands on.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, you just got barred from the flea market down there because they got caught selling pills down there. So if I'm not
We eat up with fruit flies.
So it's perception. The check that people get here for disability, most of them waste it.
Mm-hmm.
They waste it. They
Yeah.
don't have a place to lay their head at night if it's not for.
Well, it's usually spent before it comes in.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's this guy's problem. He draws a check, his sister draws a check, his nephew draws a check, and another brother draws a check, and his daddy was drawing a check. I think his daddy...
Carrying on the brave family tradition.
I think his daddy's recently turned 62, and another sister draws a check, and another sister I know of draws a check. All of them draw a check, and all of them are dead broke and have it spent before it comes in. Every one of them.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you need any propane, go down to Digger Wilson's in the middle of the road in Sawmill Holler, 5625 444 for all your propane needs.
He's got that summer propane in there. He can just grill up whatever you need. With that summer propane, he's got 48 different flavors to run through those tanks. So you call him, go down
And they
there.
don't, none of them smell good till you light them.
Right, just go down there and tell them you want to talk to Baskin Wilson.
Digger, Wilson's Gas, Sawmill Holler, 562-5444, and Napa Auto Parts. They right up here across from IGA, and they have got parts for all things automotive and got some good prices on motor oil too.
Yeah, they have. I bought a quart of motor oil out of one of your thrift stores, not thrift stores, but a convenience store or whatever you call it. And I paid more than what I paid for it at Napa. I just didn't have to be in that direction, you know, because I got 5 quarts of it here at the store, but I need the quart out the house, and I just stopped and got one.
562-9406
Right,
if you
that's
want to go
Napa
up to
Auto
Napa.
Parts. Good people to deal with, local people, owned locally. The money stays here that you spend there.
Yeah, the profit anyway. So, Bobby T, there's a fella wanting to buy some washing machines and dryers off of me, and I told him I think he ought to see you. Did he? You sell him
Today?
anything? Yeah, a few minutes ago.
Huh?
A few minutes ago. I don't believe you was here. I believe your compatriot was talking to
Right,
me.
yeah, well, my compatriot sold one.
Ah, where's my commission?
How about that? Well, he's got it. You know, take it out of his cut. You know.
Okay.
But folks, I got good washers, dryers, cook stoves, refrigerator. I got a refrigerator. This fellow's supposed to be up by and getting a little bit. But I've got good appliances. I guarantee them. And got some good hot water. I got 2 real good hot water heaters.
What do you need with the hot water heaters? You don't need to heat hot water.
Huh?
You don't need to heat hot water.
The water's already hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
You can heat cold water too, can't
Right,
you?
yeah. This heats hot water. This is a cold water heater.
Makes your cold water hot.
Right, yeah. I got 2 real good ones. Both of them are real well-known brands. Both of them operate very, very efficiently, and I guarantee both of them. They're both 40-gallon tanks. So.
40 gallon?
Yeah.
That's them good ones.
Huh?
That's them good ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I went by Lowe's. I think both of them came from Lowe's originally. And one of them that I have is a Whirlpool. And that particular Whirlpool model runs about $367. The other one, I did have the name of it. It runs something like $323. And I got them for $100 a piece. That's a third, less than a third of what they cost you. Got to be worth that. So,
well, anything else going on?
not that I know of locally. Folks, if you have not gone down to Jacksboro and looked around behind the old courthouse and our second new jail, you need to do that.
What would we see?
You can see our tax dollars at work.
What would we see?
A mess.
A mess?
A mess.
I bet it wasn't a cheap mess.
I bet not either. Yep, I bet not either. I bet she's paying through the nose.
What are they doing down there now? I don't know what's
They
going
got
on.
one building fairly complete back in the back, and they got the DA's office and some other offices back there.
Ever worth to work on any jail sales?
Do what?
Ever done any jail sales?
Well, they got one, looks like a lower level of a jail in progress there, which is directly behind the old courthouse. And So I don't know, maybe there is a method to their madness down there. I don't really know. You just have to go down there and figure that out for yourself.
And I lost track of what they was doing down there a long time ago. I don't know. I kind of lost out on any faith down there when they went and spent $120,000 or $30,000 to put 3 walls up just to have somewhere to cage their voting machines. That seemed a little bit foolish to me. No, it didn't actually. I knew what was going on, but it would be foolish for anybody in business to do something like that. But now if your friends are needing a job and you're spending somebody else's money, it's okay.
Right. Yeah. You can do a lot of things that you wouldn't do with your own money. And you will do a lot of things that you wouldn't do with your own money if you're spending somebody else. But you know, I've been I was raised very, very different. You know, if you entrust me with some of your money, I'd look after it a little bit closer than I would my own. I don't look at it the way people do. Well, you know, it comes so and so, you got plenty, I'll just waste it. I don't look at things that way.
Well, you know, you can get, even if you don't get any money out of the deal, you can make a lot of friends and accumulate a lot of favors due spending somebody else's money, and in your mind you can justify it by saying, well, this is something they needed with their money, so I'm going to spend it, and George will help me out sometime.
Well, I'm not going to call any names, but I know of a fella one time that had some businesses going, and out of the businesses that he had going, just 2 of them, he had about 3 or 4, he was pulling about $150 a day out of those businesses, not showing it in any way, and he was blowing all that money. And while he had that money, he had all kind of friends.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody loved that person. But when the money dried up, all the people went away. And he just couldn't understand that.
Well, you know, you have a little problem understanding why your friends desert you when you really don't know you ain't got no friends.
Right. So, you know, in this country, this is the craziest country I think anybody could live in. It's one of the best. Don't get me wrong. You know, I'm not like the Obamas that hate this country, and I really believe they hate this country. I love this country, but it's kind of crazy to me. In 1992, Bill Clinton and the Democrats convinced the people of this country that we were in a depression.
92?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Convinced the people that we were in a depression. We had about 3.6 or 4 something in unemployment. We had a 4.2 growth each year, but they were successful in convincing the people that we had a depression and hard times on hand. And they defeated George Herbert Walker Bush and put Bill Clinton in, who was the absolute master of deception.
Well, he's been outdone, but go ahead.
I think so too. At that time, he was the master of deception. Now, Bill Clinton rode the crest of the wave that Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush had created. He was up there riding the crest of that wave, riding it high and mighty, and right toward the end of his second term, it threw him up on the shore and spit him out, flattened out.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have Barack Hussein Obama, who has outdone Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton convinced us we was having depression when we were having good times.
Yeah.
Obama has convinced everybody that we're having good times when we're having a depression.
Yeah.
He's trying to convince and is convincing a lot of people that, man, the economy is coming back, is rebounding, the housing industry is coming back, 7.6% unemployment is completely acceptable. We're going to have a reduction of health premiums. We're going to save this country so much money when all the absolute facts indicate that nothing is going on in the economy. It's just barely hanging on. That if a true figure on the employment picture was given, we probably would be running somewhere between 14 and 15% unemployment. The housing market, sooner or later you're going to sell a house because people are going to have a house. And the way the market is, about the only way you can get a house is to go through the housing market. So he has made people believe that everything is, well, see, I understand how he does it. You know, if you smoke marijuana enough, everything gives you that euphoric feeling. You feel like everything is okay. So many people are on pot in this country. They think everything is okay, even though their house is falling down, their automobile's about to fall apart. They ain't got no job, ain't got no food in the refrigerator.
Well, you know, I've got all them problems and I don't even smoke pot.
So do I. So do I.
Maybe I need to get some of
The
that.
thing is, we know we have those problems. The people who are smoking the dope, they don't even realize they got any problem. You know, hey man, everybody's got to be somewhere. I mean, even though you're sitting on the street corner sleeping in a box at night, you know, everything's okay, you man. Everybody's got to be somewhere.
It's warm weather anyway, ain't it?
Sure. And but Obama is the master of deception when he can convince the American population he's got nothing to do with these problems. That he's up there in Washington fighting tooth and nail against them, that it's the blooming Republicans that are keeping his policies from going into effect and bringing prosperity to this country. And
if you happen to be sleeping in a box and would like to move up in the world, I'd like to recommend a concrete house made with Dixie concrete.
you could do that.
You could get their marble style concrete and have slick walls and slick floors and slick ceiling and be ready.
You wouldn't even have to paint
No, and you wouldn't have to worry about bombs or tornadoes or
you
hurricanes.
You might have to worry about some bums wanting to move in, will you?
Bums maybe, but not bombs.
Yeah.
Dixie Concrete have got all sorts of concrete products and everything related to and needed for concrete. They also have septic systems and sand and gravels and rebar and them big old boat anchors. They got it all.
That's that right. They sure have, and they're good people to do business with.
Yeah, we recommend Dixie
Good
Concrete.
people. They'll do what they say they're going to do, and that's very, very unusual in this day and time.
And also, just in case you need a ride to the hospital or something, you need to call Vital Care of Campbell County. I saw them go by with their siren on the other day, too.
Did you?
Yeah, 562-9370 for Vital Care. Or you can call 911 and request Vital Care. They'll haul you around and treat you like a king, and they know you're sick and you don't want to be aggravated, you want to be took care of, and they respect that and they'll take care of you.
Well, you know, I can just stay there at my place of business and see some interesting commentaries between government business and private industries. Campbell County bought a big diesel ambulance.
Kind of like a land art.
Oh man, it's a huge thing. Well, they run the wheels off that thing everywhere every call that they go on, if they can use that thing, that's what they take. Vitacare, on the other hand, equipped a little small van. And every time they don't need a large ambulance, they intentionally take that van, and you see it all over town making trips that if that were a government operation, they'd be having that 2-ton ambulance going out on the call. So over a period of years, not only are you going to save on fuel,
parts is a big difference in parts.
Tires, even I imagine, I don't know whether they're self-insuring or not, but I know Vitacare is not self-insuring. They have to pay for their insurance, and I don't know whether how the county works that on theirs.
Well, I'd say that the same people, they've probably got a blanket policy that covers everything, but they're under the Campbell County umbrella that's through private insurers.
Right. You know, whether you remember it or not, back when Cliff was in office, I brought out the fact that he had a couple of people working in one of his departments operating city vehicles that didn't have any driver's license.
Yeah.
You know, which, you know, they probably could drive just as good as those people who had driver's license. The only thing is, the insurance, I'm sure, would have frowned on those people being involved in an accident.
Yeah.
And we brought that out, you know, because if nobody checks on you, if your authority and your power is completely unchecked as a government official, then you're going to wind up exactly like Detroit, which had about 30 years of no competition for any government job at all. It was just Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no checks and balances, and as a result, Detroit, and I was up in Detroit in the 50s, and I remember the city well. I made several trips up there. I used to fly into Detroit up there, and all we'd carry on board was a tow bar apiece, and 5 or 6 of us would fly up to Detroit, and we'd go up there and we'd buy cars, and we'd each one would pull a car back down the road. And I wasn't about 14 years old. They'd put me in the middle of the pack, and they always put me driving a big Oldsmobile or a big Cadillac pulling a small car. They didn't know it. I probably was a lot better driver than some of those guys that were behind me or ahead of me. But I remember Detroit real well. I was up there right before the big tornado hit Clinton, Michigan, and of course damaged some of Detroit, Michigan in 1949. And so I remember the city real well. I was almost grown at that time, and I was old enough to drive automobiles all the way back from Detroit, Michigan to
I reckon we all
Greensboro.
started driving. We all started driving when we was 10 years old back then, didn't we?
Oh yeah. Well,
What years you born, Bob? 33?
Huh?
You born in 33?
34.
34.
See, my brother-in-law, he didn't have to pay me. All he did, took me and buy my meals and pay my...
You got to go on a trip.
I got to go up there and go on that trip and got to drive those automobiles back. I tell all those other kids, what I drove back and what all happened on the way. But I remember Detroit, and I remember Flint, Michigan real good from back those days. We were all over those areas buying late model automobiles. And so that's right after the Second World War, and automobiles down here were scarce. And we go up there, and there'd be about 5 or 6 of us. We bring 10 or 12 automobiles back.
Well, Bob, we've about got a show done.
Have we already run out of time?
Well, we got a little time left, but if I trim it, it works better if we quit pretty soon. You got anything you know of we need to tell people besides tune in again tomorrow night, folks, at same at UGTV or at channel 12, 1450. We'll probably be on.
Yeah. You know, one thing that is somewhat stuck in my mind, I don't know exactly who gave the quote originally. Maybe it was Marie Antoinette. But somebody said that if while all around you others are losing their head, if you can keep yours, that you can prosper
I don't think that was Marie.
You can, well,
I bet she wished she'd have thought of it.
that you can prosper and do real good. And that's the way it is in this crazy world we live in now. We get caught up in the frenzy, we get caught up in the craziness, but if you can stay out of it and keep your head, business-wise, family-wise, you can have a good life in this country. Now, if you're bad to stick your nose in places you ain't supposed to stick it, like we've been known to do, it can bring some hardship upon you.
Yeah, like it's been known to do. Sorry, not sayonara, folks. We're gonna go. Thank you.
See you tomorrow night.
Tune in again sometime.
Remember, keep your head.
Yeah, don't forget, Marie.